It's budget season, and school districts everywhere are in the process of putting their budgets together. One of the key things they rely on is state aid. Unfortunately, the governor's proposal distributes this aid in an inequitable fashion. Tell me, how will this impact William Floyd?
Well, at William Floyd, one of the things that we do is we take a look at the amount of aid that is being proposed, and we break it down per student, given our enrollment. And based on that, we compare it to other school districts. So even though the amount of aid seems like more in comparison to other districts, when you break it down per student, it's actually less per student. And when you couple that with the 2% property tax levy cap, our students are actually in the lowest 10 districts in terms of the amount of money, new money, I should say, the amount of new money there is per student.
And because of the inequitable distribution of the state aid and the inequity with the property tax levy cap, students in high needs, low property wealth districts are at a distinct disadvantage compared to their counterparts, and education is supposed to be the equalizer. So what we're trying to advocate for and state to all of our residents and people statewide is that there should be an equitable distribution regardless of a child's zip code so that everybody has a fair chance to compete.
Now, the 2% tax levy for this district doesn't mean as much funding as it would with a more affluent community based on our low commercial wealth and also the low tax base here.
The public is encouraged to attend school board meetings to discuss and learn about the budget process. At the last board meeting, only 10 community members showed up. That's not a lot. How does this hurt the district, and why is it important for residents to become part of the process?
I'd like to answer that. It really does hurt the district, but first I'd like to go back to when the first meeting that I attended on this was when they were thinking of raising the taxes to 12.5%. I just handed my keys over and said, here, take my keys. I can't afford to pay these kind of taxes. And it's true, I couldn't. But what people don't realize, that 12.5% is a very small amount on your tax levy. It really is. Somebody told me it was a cup of coffee a day. I'm not really that good with numbers, but I do know that my taxes didn't go up that much. People would attend meetings because it was going up that high, and as I did. Now they don't need to attend, or they feel they don't need to attend because it's only 2%. But what they don't realize is it isn't 2%. It can be more. They need to get here, find out. They've got children in this community. They need to find out where that 2% is going, what we can afford with that 2%. Now, I don't have kids here in this district, and I've never put kids through the school district. But if my kids were going here, I would want to attend. I would want to see what we're doing with that 2%, how much we can get from it. We can't get a lot. So I'd be here for all the meetings to make sure that I was talking to my senators, my legislators, my governor, my school board. I would want them to do things for me to make sure that we're getting what we need to get for this school district.
Advocacy is so important for us as board members as well, because as we're developing our budget, it's important for us to get feedback from our residents as far as what they value the most so that we know what tough decisions need to be made and weigh out what we're hearing from district residents. It takes the guessing game out of it. We all have values, we all have beliefs. A difference of opinion doesn't necessarily mean that's a bad thing. It forces deeper thinking into our process with the budget. So we need people to come to our meetings to communicate to us what direction they want us to go in. It's also important for them to come to meetings so that they could learn what we need them to advocate on our behalf, both on a state level and a federal level. Most folks don't understand that there's been a huge cost shift of education in the state of New York for many, many years. At one point in time, 67 cents of every dollar spent here at William Floyd was covered with state aid. That number is now down to 47 cents of every dollar. That 20% cost shift onto the local property taxpayers has been something that has been devastating to our community. It's important for our residents to come out and learn how the policies that are being made in Albany and Washington, D.C. not only affect the quality of the education, but the cost of it and the impact that it has on a local level. So it's extremely important that they come out, ask questions, get answers to their questions, and more importantly, learn so that they can be strong advocates for whatever their position is.
Back in the spring of 2007, the Board of Education and District Administration instituted a transparent process for developing our budget, and it was the Budget Advisory Committee, which is open to all residents. You don't have to attend all the meetings, but it's really an opportunity to learn and then weigh in and in some way influence what the Board of Education has to ultimately decide. There are a variety of variables, and we need people's input on that. You know, whether there are reductions in the budget, whether there's a tax rate that needs to be set. We have to get a sense of what the parameters are and how people are feeling. We can surmise, but it's always more, I guess, a better read if people are there and they can weigh in directly. So they have that opportunity. Those dates are well publicized on our website and so on. We really want everyone to take full advantage of that.
I'd just like to say, don't think that you've got nothing to give. You do, no matter what. I don't care who you are, what you are. You're a mother or a father of a child. You have input. You really do have the input. Get here. Show that you care about your children. Come once a month. Come, every second month, but come to the meetings. Let your child know that you're involved, that you love them enough to spend the time here at the meetings doing something.
In your opinion, what are the top misconceptions the public has about school budgets and their property taxes?
Well, number one, I think let's start with the property tax levy cap. There's a huge misconception that the public believes as opposed to the reality. People think it's a cap of 2% on their individual taxes, and that's not true, number one. It's on the overall levy for the district. And I've said this time and time again, 2% is not 2%, because every school district is entitled to a certain level of exemptions beyond that 2%. For instance, William Floyd's limit of the tax levy cap is 3.79. It's not 2%. We could go out with 3.79 and only require a simple majority, not a supermajority. But people think if you go over 2%, you're exceeding the tax cap law, where in fact we are not. So I thought it was disingenuous of the state to tout this as a 2% tax cap, is how they phrase it, and it's a tax levy cap, which is very different than individual property taxes, and it's not 2%. That's the first real misconception. I think the other misconception is like Evelyn had pointed out earlier, people do have a say, they do have input, and we do listen to what they say when they come to these budget meetings, and their opinion and their values of where they want us to go really do play a role in how we shape our budget. Our budget is not done. It's a working document up until the day that the Board of Education adopts it. So if you have something that you value, no matter what the value is, you need to come down and express it to the Board of Education before we adopt it and present it to the voters.
I would say to the public out there to please attend these meetings. It's vitally important to get your input. If you have children in a district, every thought, every passion matters deeply, and we listen and we make decisions based on that. We'll also make them with fiscal responsibility. We've been doing this for several years, and because of fiscal responsibility, we are doing the best possible job we can to educate every student in this district with every opportunity they have moving forward with a productive life.
I would add, even if you don't have children in the district, the single most biggest investment any community makes is in its education system and its community-based schools. You make a tremendous amount of investment through your property taxes with your schools. You need to have input, you need to have say, and it's extremely important for our elected officials to see an extremely engaged and informed public.
I would say even if you're a renter, if you rent an apartment, you're living in the community. You don't have to own property. Just get here. Be part of the community. Change what you can change. Just by meeting people, getting to know your neighbors in a different light, you'll make a difference, believe me.
The real challenge of putting a budget together is balancing the need for a quality education for our children with the needs of our residents, providing an education that they can afford to pay for. So we need input from the public on both of those. What constitutes a quality education in their mind for their children, and what constitutes a budget that they can afford. So there are a lot of decisions that have to be made, and more input that we have, the wiser decision we can make. So please attend our meetings. I think you will not regret it.
In addition to attending our school board meetings and attending our meetings this budget season, it's even more important that our residents get out and vote on May 21st, because the number of people that vote, our elected officials pay attention to. We average about 3,000 people that come to the polls and vote on our budget. We have over 9,300 students. If we had 10,000 people vote in our budget, our state officials and our federal officials would see those numbers and pay very close attention, because it's those same voters that also vote their positions in when they're up for re-election. So more importantly, no matter how you vote, yes or no, it's important to get to the polls and exercise your right and your duty to vote on our budget. It's this coming May 21st from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. right here at the high school. Come out and vote and show our state officials and our federal officials that we're paying attention and we care enough to vote.